if your customers are lying to you, because that happens a lot. People are just being nice. So we're going to go through a lot of how conversations work in a practical way.
Interesting. So who do you think this webinar will benefit the most?
I think this webinar will benefit anyone who's working in a startup, any person who's working in sales. So basically anyone who usually have customer conversations or is trying to uncover an idea or solve a problem.
Absolutely. I want to add to this. It's like sales is such an important part of of a startup. Basically, as a social media manager too, I speak to you guys all the time, all the amazing community, and you guys have a lot of questions about, okay, do I buy this deal? Do I not buy this deal? Okay, how will this deal help me sell? And I get to talk to all of you, share you all the amazing features, etc. And that's conversations again. I'm getting to know about you. I'm talking to you, understanding your business, understanding your problems. It's going as a feedback. And then that's how we are able to bring you amazing tools on PitchGround Marketplace. And one such amazing tool is Ultranote, which we're going to show you at the end of today's webinar. And if you stick till the end, we have a ton of exciting prizes for you guys. So stick till the end. And Hussein, I think today's webinar is going to be exciting. Why don't you just share your screen and let's get started.
I will do that now. So just give me a moment. Right. You should be able to see my screen now. Can you just say
yes,
that you can?
We can see your screen.
Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about the topic, as I said, how do you extract the most out of your customer conversation? So we're going to cover 4 different topics, subtopics, if you may. So the first one is about how do you land meeting with your target users, because this is one of the biggest problems with when you're trying to solve a problem or testing out a new idea. The first challenge is, well, how do you find your users? So you need to find your users where their interests take them. So the way I found my users was, my initial users were through Slack channels, Discord channels, Facebook groups. And what I was doing was just posting a message, hey guys, I'm building this new startup, this new product. What do you think about it? And often I would get messages in my chat, people inboxing me, hey, this looks cool. We want to try out the product. So this is how you find your first users. You can also go to conferences, because this is one of the big places. You're trying to find people who are your early adopters, who are willing to take the risk to try out the new startup. So you need to find people who are most willing to take the risk. And the second thing is, well, how do you found your users? How do you start your message? How do you start a conversation with them? So what I like to stick to is called the 3-message rule, which is that you have to land your conversation with a customer within the 3 messages. Now, when you first message a customer, instead of asking them to try the product, what you want to ask them is their advice, because that would be a bit too hard if you just went into a conversation straight away and put a product in front of them. You wouldn't be able to get people to agree to try your product that way. So many message people say that, hey, I'm building this product. It would be great if I can get your advice on that. So people are more likely to say yes. So that's going to be your first message. The second message is when people accept if you have sent a request on LinkedIn, if they accept the invitation, the second message is going to be more of building up the flow of conversation. So it usually has to be really short so people can process that. So saying things like, hey, are you free for a quick call this week? And the message is usually going to be, I am, or I can do it next week, in which case you come back to it next week, but try to get the deal done within this week, which I'll talk to you in a bit why. And once the people reply yes, then what you want to do is immediately lock down something in the calendar. So if you have a Calendly or a tool like that, then just immediately send them like, hey, if you can lock down something in my calendar, that would be great. The next thing is, what should be the timeline of the meeting. So I like to stick to a 3-day rule, and there is a reason for it. Try to book the conversation within the 3 days of you messaging them. So the first one is a bit too early, the second day is ideal, and the third one is a bit of a drag. After 3 days, people start to drop out, so the likelihood of people dropping out of the meeting rises. So try to have the conversation within the 3 day. But obviously there are exceptions to it sometimes. The second subtopic is about building a rapport. So how do you put your customers to ease when you're talking to them? How do you actually get them to talk? So the first point we want to cover is that you have to, within the first 1 minute of your meeting, you will be able to tell if your customers are comfortable or they're going to open up, because this is really the important time in which you want to put them to ease. So don't just talk about the product. Talk about something, what kind of cats do they own, or are they a cat or dog person? Talk about something else, just to get them in that comfort zone so they can actually start talking. And the second thing is that try to keep the conversation casual and personal. Do not try to be more business-like, because otherwise the resistance will be more, because people will just think that, hey, this guy's trying to sell me something, which you are going to eventually, but for the moment, what you're trying to just cover the insights. And from what I've noticed from personal experience, if you get people to talk, if you without asking them to buy a product, if you can just demonstrate that you're actually solving the problem and understanding the problems, they will ask you how much does the product cost in the end. So your goal is going to be fulfilled anyways, but as a byproduct of something else. So respect their times, but at the same time, don't hold yourself back. If you've asked for a 15 minutes time frame, then apologize if you're going above them. But if people don't mind, you don't have to hold yourself back. Feel free to go ahead, unless they stop you. And in that case, you can, back yourself off. So the third subtopic is about uncovering insight and spotting lies. So once you start a conversation with customers, there are a few things that you need to remember. The first thing is that bad news is success. You don't need to worry about that if the problem isn't validated. That is a big problem, because if there is bad news, if the problem that you were thinking about solving isn't actually a problem, that means that you have filtered down your list to something more valid. And talk about their life instead of your idea. So instead of talking about, hey, I have this product or I have this idea, talk about their life. See what problems are they facing. So indirectly, you will be validating your idea, but a direct approach is not recommended. And once you're uncovering the insights, ask them, because people can say anything, right? So people can say, I have this pain point, but they could be lying. They might be just trying to make you feel better. That's one of the most common problems that you're trying to uncover insights. So whenever a customer says they have a problem, ask them about an example in the past when they had that problem. If they can't provide an example, that means they were lying. And if you want to go into the future, I would say don't ask for people's opinion, because opinions are worthless. As long as you don't have an example of actually having that problem, that means the customer doesn't really have a problem. That is a flake. So start generic when you're having conversations. So talk about their lives, and then once you spot something interesting, try to dig deeper into that idea. When you're talking to customers, let them keep talking. Don't interrupt them unless you have to dig deeper. So you don't need to stop them. Let them keep going, because that way, if they're talking, that means that they're being honest with you. And dodge compliments. So people, whenever you have a conversation with customers about an idea or your product, even if you're late into your startup phase, people will often say nice things that, hey, this looks like a cool product, or things like, this is an amazing idea, it looks good. So try to dodge the compliments, because they don't mean anything. What you really want to do is validate your problem and actually see if that's actually a valid problem or not. So most comments are just flake. The third subtopic is about validating ideas. So when you're chatting to a person, never mistake signals for validation, because no amount of chatting to customers can give you an exact validation that are you actually solving the customer problems. But it can give you signals which you can pick up in order to go in the direction of validating your problem. So in order to validate the problem, the only way it can be done is if you build an MVP and put it in front of the customers, give it to them, let them try it out, and if they stick to it, only then is your MVP validated. So don't think your product is validated too early into the phase. And when you build your MVPs, your products don't have to be real. With the no-code revolution, this has become so much easier to just very quickly mock together products. Or even if you're not skilled at no-code tools, just pick up Photoshop or Canva, really easy tools to use. mock up a product, put it in front of users, and see if they actually try to use it. If they don't, then you've saved yourself a big time and money that you would have spent trying to build the products. And the third thing is that make your customers give up something valuable. So the most important thing, the thing that can give you most validation is actually money. The second one is reputation, and the third one is time. It's actually a wrong order. So if your customers are paying you money, that means that you're actually solving the problem. That is the big test of validation. The second one is reputation. So if your customers are inviting other people in their team, or just saying that, hey, I'm going to talk to my company and bring other people in, that is a really good test of validation. And third one is time, because most people have a lot of time in their hands. They were happy to talk to you. So don't mistake time for a hard test of validation, because time is not valuable to a lot of people. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that startup founders make, is that they think that time is important to people. It usually is quite down the list. And I would recommend two great books that I've read in the past. So the first one is The Mom Test. This is like I initially thought that this person should have been given the Nobel Prize in having customer conversation. So I highly recommend The Mom Test. And the second one is Sprint, which was actually came out of a guy working in Google Ventures. And they have, this is more about how do you build a product very quickly and put it in front of the customers to get validation. So and in the meantime, how do you converse the problem? So highly recommend these two books. And there is some free user and UX research help, which me and a few people in my network are doing. So if you are already a member of the PitchGround community, we would be happy to do the UX research and help for you free out of our passion. And these people have been studying UX research for a while now. So if you want that kind of thing, feel free to get in touch with me on my email address, and I'll connect to you. So that would be the end of my presentation. Udit, do you want to take over?
Sure, definitely. So perfectly said, Hussein. I think whenever it comes to startup, there are always going to be challenges. And I definitely feel that one has to address all of these issues, right? Meanwhile, guys, if you happen to have any questions, please start dropping your questions in the QA section. I would love to hear from you guys. What kind of questions do you guys have, so that we can start getting a bit more involved and let you know a bit more about Ultranote, right? We'll let you know a bit more about the product. We'll let you know a bit more about stuff. So there's going to be a lot of exciting stuff. But again, if you guys have any questions, drop them in. Also, make sure that, as always, every webinar, there's giveaways, right? So if you want to get those giveaways, guys, make sure to drop in questions, because the first webinar is always about the products and founders webinar, where they would pick the favorite question of yours, right? So if you ask those questions, and if Hussein likes one of the questions where he's just blown away, he's like, oh my God, why didn't I think of it, right? Right, that person gets a giveaway, right? And then if you guys haven't tagged us on Instagram yet, Minak, you want to just let people know how they can win more stuff?
Absolutely, guys. All you have to do is take out your phone and go to your Instagram, take a screenshot of this webinar, and tag us, tag at PitchGround on Instagram. And
yeah, and Hussein, can you also drop your Instagram so that people can tag you as well?
Sorry, my Instagram.
Yeah.
I do not have an Instagram at the moment, unfortunately.
I just love Instagram.
All right, so you need to tag at PitchGround, and we're gonna see your stories. And yeah, if you're sharing it in your stories, you get a chance to win. So we're gonna announce the winner in the end, especially from Instagram. So start posting stories.
Great. There's a question. What's an MVP? So MVP basically means a minimum viable product, where what you're doing is you don't want to spend the next 100, 200K of your savings into building something that no one is interested in, right? So instead of doing that, what you do is you build a small piece of that, right? Where the focus is not design, the focus is not anything else, but just to get the product out and test it and see whether users are interested in buying something and solving that problem. Before you dive into it completely, start spending money and start the real development. So that validation is something that's so very critical in any businesses, right? Even if you're starting a service, right? You cannot just go out there, build everything, spending a month only to realize that there's no demand in your service. You need to just go out there, build a simple landing page, just start outreaching, see if someone is interested in your services, right? This is why building up a minimum viable product or service is so very important. There's another question coming in from Monica. How to engage the customers and make them a permanent one? Hussein?
Yeah, I can take this one. So the way you, first of all, what you're trying to do is you're reaching out to users and you don't know if they are going to be a permanent your customers or not in the first place. It is only after uncovering the insights, when you build the MVP, put it in front of the people, that you will know that you will actually be able to acquire those customers. And the third step is, and it's really, really hard, how do you get from someone trying out the product to actually sticking to it? If the person likes the product and if they keep coming back to it over and over again, that means that person is likely going to become your long-term customer. Even though there is something called long-term value, especially in SaaS businesses, which is how do you extract, how much money can you extract out of the customers, or how much value can you extract out of the customers over a certain period of time. For example, if a customer comes to you, even if they're your long-time customers, they might stay with you for the next 2 years, but third year you might be able to lose them. So yeah, try building something useful and see if people stick to it. That's the only way I can think of.
Awesome. You want to dive into Ultranote right away, Hussein?
I'm gonna give you a demo of Ultranote. How does it work? So I'll log in with my account. Let me just share my screen again.
Sure.
I think this is one of the most handy tool out there, and we should definitely start using Ultranote. So I actually had a great suggestion that came by, Minank, and I think this fits in great. So one of the users saw that one of the last webinar was almost 2.5 hours, and he was like, I cannot sit down for 2.5 hours, right? Being on the webinar is fun for 2.5 hours because it's all live, it's fun, right? We take up live questions and we have all sorts of live engagements and stuff. So it's all fun, but watching a YouTube video is a lonely journey that you have to complete yourself, right?
Yes.
So what he gave a suggestion was that if we can somehow build out notes, right, a summary of it, and if we can post it, that will be very helpful. So I think this is where I feel I was like, I think this is where Ultranote fits in so great, where we can probably take those notes, make them and summarize them and turn it into an actual blog post maybe.
Let's do that. Sounds great, actually. And many people who haven't had the time to attend the webinar also.
Exactly. And we can just start posting these on our blogs, right? Because most people don't have the time to sit down and learn everything, right? But if we just give them pointers out there that, look, here are the things, here are the stuffs, here are the entire summary in maybe like 200 words using Ultranote, right? I think this saves a huge time. Plus, you repurpose contents, which is always good, right? You always have to find ways to repurpose more contents.
Absolutely. So before we jump into Ultranote, I want to ask you guys a really quick question. Tell me who among you guys is using Chrome? I know it's a dumb question because every one of you guys are using Chrome, but I want to see if you're using any other browser or something, I can see people saying me. Who else is using Chrome? Only 2 people out of 24 people. That's that's I didn't expect. Okay, Chromium. Okay, that's a good thing. Firefox. Most of it is Chrome. So we're going to show you Ultranote, which is a Chrome plugin, which allows you to get the most out of the conversations like this that we are having, and Hussein is going to show you right now how it happens in real time. Hussein, now you can share your screen. I can see many of you guys are on Chrome. Does it also work on Chromium, by the way?
It is built for Chromium. So for example, the latest Edge browser, it's built on Chromium, and the latest Opera browser built on Chromium. So it can work on that, but I cannot guarantee it. This product has only been tested on Chrome. So if you have the Chrome, it will definitely work. If you have Edge or latest version of Edge or latest version of Opera, it might work, but there is no guarantee.
Got it.
Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, so this is the first page where you land at when you first come onto the site. What you need to do is click on Get Started, and I'm going to select my email address. This is going to log me in. So the first thing that I see is a welcome message, and it gives me options to download 2 applications suiting to my workflow. So if I use Google Chrome, I can use it as a Chrome extension, and if I use Zoom and on a Mac, I can get a native Mac OS application which runs on my desktop in exactly the same way as the Chrome extension does. So there is not much of a difference between the two. What I'm going to do is use the Chrome extension for the purposes of this demo. So the way it works is that you can go onto Chrome, you can download the Chrome extension, but I have added one to mine already. So I'm just gonna go in and start that. Give me a moment. Yeah, so I'm just gonna start a dummy meeting here just to give you a demo of it. Okay, so Ultranote starts as a sidebar. So if you see this button on the side, this is a button that you click in order to bring out Ultranote. It starts on Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and Google Meet the exact same way. If you click on it, you can drag and drop it down somewhere where you find comfortable. So it's not covering the part of the space, the part of the screen where you have your important stuff. For example, if you have a picture of the video of someone here. So if I turn on my camera, I can actually see that I can actually drag it across the screen on me. So if I click on this button, this comes out as a transparent overlay interface, which I can drag on the top of my screen. And then I can go into my settings and I can actually adjust the transparency. So for example, I might have a customer who has a very dark background, so I want to make Ultranote even lighter. The next thing I do is I can click this plus sign and I can create a notebook, which is where I will be adding my notes during my conversation. So I can say that PitchGround demo, and this will make a notebook here. It will give me an option to actually edit the title of my notes. So each notebook that I create can have multiple notes in them, which are timestamps. So for example, that way you can actually manage your different workflows. If you're having your conversations with different customers or in different workflows, such as in internal design meetings, sales meetings, you can have different notebook for them, and then you can have notes in them for each day, for example. So I'm going to call this my PitchGround note, and then I press enter. Now this gives me a note area where I can actually add the text. So for example, I can start adding text here. So one of the things you have to note is that Ultranote is designed to be a minimal interface note-taking application. So if I click on this edit block, it brings out a Google Doc style toolbar where I can add pretty much everything. For example, I can add quotes, I can add tables to hold different amounts of information. And once I have done that, I can actually click on here and it gets minimized. So I can actually add as many notes as I want in my notebook. In the top drop down, I can actually select different notebook. For example, I was having user research sessions where I interviewed 2 different people. So I have added 2 different notes here where I can add more. If I click on this open button, it takes me to the main dashboard. If I click on let's go, this is going to take me to my main dashboard where I have a list of all my notebooks. So this is a full-fledged web application for exactly everything that we have in the Chrome extension, except that it's a proper application where you can go into your notebooks. So for example, this is a notebook that I just made. Here I have a lot more capabilities, so I can click my notes, edit them. I have a Google Doc style documents here, which I can write down. And also I can create different templates here. So templates basically allow you to, if you're asking different people the same questions over and over again, you can have a template called My Questions, which you can create here. And you can add, for example, my first question, my second question. When you are in the middle of the meeting, I'll just refresh the page just to make sure it's reloaded properly. Yeah, so if you're in the middle of a meeting, you can actually, inside your note, you can click on this button and it will give you an option to create a new note from the templates that you have made in your dashboard. So if I make a new note here, this will automatically add those questions that I have added as a template, and I can manage my templates over here. So back when I go into the notebooks, I have all these notes here. So if I pick up any of the notebook and go into the permissions tab here, I can actually share this notebook with anyone else on my team. For example, if I can share my notebook with Udit, who can, when I share this notebook with him, he will get an exact copy of the same notebook in his account, in his Ultranote account, which he can, so he can continue work where I left off. So that way, you can collaborate with each other. You can also make your notebooks public. So that means that you get a link to share it with anyone, just like you would share a Google Doc with anyone. So you can have, for example, a meeting internally. If you want to share it with anyone in your Slack channel, you can make the notebook public, post the link in your Slack channel, and everyone will be able to see it, but they won't be able to edit it unless you edit it yourself. So that way it maintains that kind of protection over all your notes that you're taking in the meetings. Yeah, and the exact same thing you can download as a Mac application, which would work the exact same way as the Chrome extension does. The only difference is that it would start on the side of your screen, your desktop screen, rather than the Chrome browser. And once you're done, you can click on this cross button. It will go into the minimization state. It will stay there, and every time you start a meeting, it will automatically be loaded on the side. So you can just quickly click on it and drag it on your screen. So that would be the demo for Ultranote. Let me know if you have any questions.
Awesome, guys. In case if you have any questions, do let us know. We'll be happy to start taking them. Let's get started. Minang, you want to go get started with the questions?
Yes. So there are questions coming in. Shefali says, what is MVP? We have already answered it, Shefali. And then simple Google Forms or Typebot live forms for customer feedback. Like, what do you suggest for customer feedback? Well, I would say branded forms work really well if it has your own branding, if it has your own name. Yes, they do work really well, but brand over simple forms. Can I take notes in Google Docs?
I can take this one.
Yes,
So
Unesh, you can basically transfer these notes into, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you will
Hussein,
be able.
please go ahead.
Yeah, so you will be able to whenever you take notes in Ultranote, you can actually copy them and paste them in Google Drive, and the format of everything will be copied. Also, I want to note that all the shortcuts that are a part of Google Drive also work in Ultranote. So if you're used to using shortcuts in your writing Google Docs, you can use the exact same keyboard shortcuts in Ultranote.
Absolutely. Unesh, I hope that answers your question. So what is the roadmap of this tool? Manisha is asking, like, yeah, how are you planning to take this tool forward?
At the moment, it's a Chrome extension and a Zoom application. We're thinking about plans of having a direct integration with Google Drive, so you don't have to keep writing down, keep transferring your notes manually by copy pasting over and over again to Google Drive. Anything else that is planned will be added to our what's the name of the tool called? That got out of my mind. But we have a feature product roadmap on Trello. Yeah. So if you can also Trello. So you can also if you go onto your website and scroll down.
Can you paste the link, Hussein? That would be very nice.
Yeah, there is nothing on there at the moment, but I will be adding more features to it as they get confirmed.
Got it. Manisha, look out for the PitchGround group. The roadmap link will be shared with you guys. So,
I've just sent in the Zoom.
yeah, perfect. The roadmap link is already shared. So, Onishas, Ultranote can be used only with Google Meet or like
No, it
any other
can.
tools?
Yeah, it can be used with Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and Google Meet. You might be able to use it with other tools as well, but I cannot guarantee that. Actually, I would recommend just if you're using any other tools apart from these, go try another tool. I cannot guarantee it would work on them.
And I'm going to show you a very unique use case that one of our PitchGrounder has tried. And I'm like, they're basically transcribing the whole meeting. So I'm going to show you that while answering all the questions. And Unesh asked, mostly we open Zoom desktop app for webinar like this. So how can we use Ultranote in such cases if I'm using Windows and not in Mac?
So if you're using Zoom in a Zoom desktop client in a Windows computer, then you wouldn't be able to use Ultranote. If you're using a Zoom client in Mac, then you can use the Ultranote Mac application, which would start the exact same way as I showed you, but on the side of your desktop. So you can do the exact same thing, drag it on your screen, adjust the transparency.
Absolutely. And I think a Windows application, if many people are requesting, should be the upcoming feature. So Shefali asked, like, how is it different from whiteboard of Zoom, which we share? You would like to take this one?
Yeah, so the main defining feature, the way we differentiate from all other tools is the flexibility to adjust it to your workflow. So you can drag it on the top of your screen all the way down. You can adjust the transparency. It minimizes and maximizes just with the click on a button, with a click of a button on the side of your screen. You don't need to have two different screens. And the most importantly, when you're talking to someone, you're actually maintaining eye contact with them. So you don't have to look away.
Absolutely. Shefali, I hope that answers your question. And does it record audio as well, Samas?
It does not at the moment, but Udit has noticed a new use case for it where someone actually, that guy also contacted me that they put together a way in which audio can be transcribed. But to answer your question concisely, no, it does not record the video.
I think that would be really great, because imagine having that ready and then you have that possibly connected with WordPress and boom, just turn the entire session into a blog post, which I feel instantly increases the value proposition, right? Because now not only I can repurpose the content, but I can then distribute those content over and over again, because people just don't want to spend 2 hours watching a video, right? Like I said, watching a YouTube video is a lonely journey that all of us has to do, right? Especially if you're watching a B2B video, right? It can get a bit boring at times. So something like this where I can just spend 5 minutes to read a quick summary. And if that excites me, then I can dive in to watching the complete video. So it's kind of like having a Blinkist version of a webinar, basically.
Actually,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was seeing many people telling their problems about, okay, how do we actually, digest this webinar for the people who didn't attend the webinar? And I think that's a very nice use case, what Udit has said.
Awesome. Let's start taking up other questions now.
Sure. So Ron asks, does the Mac app sit in front of whatever browser you have open, or is it an integrated browser with Ultranote embedded into it?
So Ultranote Mac application is a standalone application. So it's a standalone note-taking application which is connected to the Ultranote database. When you start it, you can use it with Zoom or any other desktop client that you're using for your video video conferencing. It would be on the top of whatever tool you're using, so it would be compatible with it. But no, Ultranote application itself doesn't have an integrated browser or a video conferencing tool inside it.
Awesome. Ron, I hope that answers your question. Manisha asked, make your own templates with an Ultranote. Where can we see them, if any?
So when you make a template in a dashboard, and when you go into your Ultranote Mac application or Chrome extension, the sidebar that you open, and when you create a node, there is an option to have a dropdown. If you click on it, it will load the list of templates that you have saved. And once you click on it, it will create a new note out of that template in the middle of conversation. So you don't have to think about searching different screens or copy pasting from someone else. Everything, all of your templates are just loaded with a click of a button.
Absolutely. Manisha, I hope that answers your question. Okay, so we got 2 questions for mobile. So does Ultranote work on mobile, on Chrome mobile, etc.?
It has not been tested, no.
Got it. And Om, we already answered this. There's no voice recognition. Like, can it write what is said in a meeting as a note? Nope. As of now, it doesn't. So yeah, go ahead. Hussein, you were saying something, yeah.
Yeah, no, it does not at the moment, no. Someone has found a hack to actually transcribe the notes while someone is talking, but officially it's not a part of, it's not a feature of Ultranote.
I hope that answers your question. Are notes synced across platforms like Mac, Android, etc.?
We don't have an Android or an iOS application, but once the notes are entered into the Chrome extension or the Mac application, everything is uploaded to the web app. So if you're using a Mac app, if you add notes and later you come to your Chrome extension, the notes will be loaded there too, which you have added inside the Mac application. So that way it works quite seamlessly.
Got it. I hope that answers your question, Mohandas. And I would like to quickly share my screen, guys, and show you the Ultranote lifetime deal that we are running. And if you guys have any more questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. So, or Q&A tab, sorry, Q&A tab, yeah. So this is the Ultranote lifetime deal, guys. It starts at $49, and we have different kinds of plans based on the number of users you are having. Let's say if you are a startup or a business owner who's having like 10 or 15 members in the team, then plan B or plan C makes sense for you. But if you're a solopreneur or a freelancer who is just taking meetings, or if you are a team of 2 or 3 people, then the $49 plan totally makes sense to you. All updates are included. Everything is out here in this. But I would like to showcase the use case that Hussein was completely mentioning about, which is converting, transcribing the meetings. And this is the use case which was shared by one of our PitchGrounders who actually took the tool, tested it, and then made his own formula out of it. And this is where the tool is. So he paired it with an application called Voice In, and it ended up transcribing the whole meeting. And he used Ultranote and Voice In combination, and it recognized Indian accent. I'm sure if you're joining in from somewhere else as well, it's going to recognize your accent really easy. And yeah, it makes his note taking really, really easier. You can watch his review video. I was completely shocked when he suddenly came up with different kinds of use cases. Udit was also sharing you different kinds of use cases about transcribing this whole webinar into a particular, blog post or something that is easily shareable across people who didn't have the time to attend the webinar or didn't have the time to stay till the end of the webinar. So use cases are totally up to you guys. I would highly recommend this post to read. I'm gonna copy this and share it. It's in the PitchGround group itself, so you can just check it out. And yeah, this is what is there. I'm gonna share the link, and perfect. So there are multiple use cases that you can derive out of it. The main use is, let me.
I think Minank, you're lying a bit.
Wait, let me search my pen and type in, and then basically, all the notes are covered. at the end of the webinar. You can share it with your teams. They can sync the notes, and for those who didn't attend the webinar, those who didn't attend the team meeting, etc., you can share all the things which you write them in your notes.
Hussein, what I would absolutely love is maybe Zoom marketplace integration, where the app itself is available in the marketplace. And what can again possibly happen is for the end users, because they will then be able to install Ultranote on their Zoom. And I feel what can possibly happen is, as the recording is going on, if something needs to be extracted just for that particular time only, right, then that marketplace extension will do that. You click on it, and then maybe it records that particular session and turns that particular part into an auto transcription for that particular part only for the users. And I think this can be very, very helpful if this can be executed, I feel. Because again, the whole webinar, sometimes you need just chunks, right? You need some golden nuggets that are being dropped randomly, right? So you just want to record those particular sessions, and you want to create all the sessions around it, and then just create a blog post. And even for your own self, you can do that, because then even someone attending the webinar can pick up the golden nuggets, expand it, and then even they can make a blog post about it. Not necessarily have to be about the webinar, but about the content. Because all of the time we keep on finding ways how we can create content in a more unique way with a more unique experience. And I think this is something where I feel Ultranote can have such a huge edge, where you can kind of automate this entire note journey for any user. I don't know, what do you think about it, Hussein?
We actually had I was looking at it initially when I was building the application for Ultranote, and it's not very easy because of the limitation that Zoom places on its application. We cannot do a lot of things as flexibly as we can do it being a standalone desktop application or a Chrome extension. So transparency is one of them. The Zoom SDK won't allow us to drag interface on top of the video. So once they start to loosen up the restrictions on it, then we might be able to progress in that direction. But that's definitely a very, in my opinion, very, very helpful use case.
Awesome. Minang, let's take up the other questions.
Sure. So
guys, again, if you have
resource usage, this is a very good question. Like, how does it interface with other apps running on Chrome, and how much resources does it use?
I do not have the metrics in the top of my head, but it being a simple text application, the only I would imagine that whoever is asking this question is a little more technical in that sense. So I will share my thoughts freely on that. So if the majority of the processing power that Ultranote uses relies on JavaScript, and that's a part of most of the applications that are on the web. So if you have an application that is extremely JavaScript heavy, then there would be some interference into the resources. But for most of the applications, for example, Google Meet or Zoom, which also use JavaScript in the backend, it works quite smoothly. So do not expect it to have a lot of technical problems when you're using it. It should work fine.
Got it. Mohandas, I hope that answers your question. And Om asks a question that's not related to this webinar, like how to figure out exact target niche audience. Is there any idea or strategy? Udit, you want to take this one?
Sorry, can you repeat that question again? No?
So how to figure out like exact target audience in the niche, or is there any idea or strategy that how I can do that?
It really depends. So let's take an example of PitchGround itself, right? We focus on creators, right? We focus on solopreneurs. We focus on small business owners, right? We don't focus on anyone else because we understand their pain that software can be very expensive, and we want to make sure that creators today has access to all the tools in the world that an enterprise has. Because on the internet without softwares, it's not possible to grow. And today there are softwares available for every aspects of the business. different parts of the business. And when you start taking the help of software, not only you can make your resources more useful, but at the same time, you can lower down your cost, right? And when we all are running startups, cost is everything, right? You have to make sure that the expenses are as low as possible, and your income is as high as possible, and utilize them, automate it. And plus, at the same time, with software, the chances of error is very slim to almost none, right? If the software works perfectly fine, then the chances of error is pretty much zero at that stage. But if you hire a human to do the same task, there is still a huge percentage of chance that something could fail, right? So we then decided that, okay, we're going to go for creators. We started niching things out. And then from there, we started targeting individuals, right? So for example, right now, we have unlimited photos available on PitchGround, right? We started targeting photographers at that stage, right? So that's how you have to segment things. Now in the photographers section as well, what we are doing is we are specifically reaching out to people who are very active on Instagram, because they are the ones who constantly need content. So that's how you start niching down. Write all of these things down on the paper, create a segment of audience, and start with just one segment of audience. Do not overwhelm yourself by reaching out to a huge number of people. And as I keep saying in every single webinar, did you contact 10 people today? Did you send out 10 cold emails? Did you send out 10 cold partnerships via Instagram, via Twitter, either via Facebook, via email? Have you done that? If you have not, make sure to build it a habit, because that's the only way you can really grow your business. It's just reach out to 10 people every day. That's 50 people a week. That's almost 200 people a month. And that's how you start closing down 5 to 10 customers every month. That's something how you can grow. You niche down and then you start growing, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree with you with that. And I can let's see if we have any more questions. Mohandas again asks, multiple note tabs side by side for logging different parts of the meeting. Okay, that's interesting. Do you want to take this up, Hussein?
Yeah, so you can have multiple notes on your screen at the same time if they're part of the same notebook. And you can minimize and maximize them with a click of a button. That way, if you have one notebook and you have, so for example, 3 different parts in it, one for notes from Udit, one from notes from Minank, and one from me, then you can have in the same notebook on your screen right there, and then you can have 3 different notes saying that notes from this guy, notes from this guy, notes from this guy. And then every time you hear something, you can click on that, maximize it, add notes to it, and then it just minimizes itself.
Perfect. I hope that answers your question, Mohandas. And anonymous attendee asks, any plans for Windows app in the future?
There are no plans at the moment because technically it's a bit more complicated than to build application for Mac, especially when transparency is involved. It's a technical restriction that is placed upon application development, especially with the framework that we're using. So as soon as we can find an easier way to do it, then we might go in that direction.
I hope that answer. Okay, that was Vishnu Jawar. Okay, I get you, Vishnu. Welcome back to the webinar. Zoom shows your name as anonymous attendee. It's all right. Yeah. Zoom has some kind of issues sometimes, but it's all right. So, Shefali asks, like, okay, all the questions have been answered. Sorry. Yeah. Perfect.
Just talk about that's currently on PitchGround.
Yes.
Share your screen.
Yeah, so this is the lifetime deal, guys. I'm repeating once again that you have it on PitchGround. You can basically just pay once, use it forever. That you can get for $49 lifetime. If you are a solopreneur or a freelancer, this plan makes sense. And if you are like an agency owner who has multiple teammates, and if you want all your team members to get into the habit of taking notes while doing webinars, while doing meetings, and summarize those notes, etc., which they can go back and check, okay, what did we do in this meeting? It's all over there, right in front of your screen. When you use the Ultranote app, it solves this minute problem where we are like, okay, we have to search for notes. We don't know where we are writing them. We don't know how, we didn't summarize the meetings. It's just all over the place. And we know we need a SaaS to help out with it. And we have Ultranote that does this job so beautifully. You don't have to take your, eyes out of the screen, search for books, etc. Just write down Ultranote, send it to your Google Docs, etc. Share it with your team and keep them all in sync of all the meetings that you're having, especially after work from home and all of this, COVID madness that's going on. We have increased our Zoom usage by, 50 to, I can say 50%, more than 50%. And every time you're taking a meeting, whether it's your new client, whether it's your upcoming lead, this, you can have all the transcriptions of your notes, and then you can go back, look at them and be like, okay, yeah, this is where, well, this is what I learned. This is what I learned. This is what I learned by taking this meeting. This was the summary of the meeting. And with the rich text features, the quotes and etc., you can instantly summarize your notes in a really, really beautiful way. As you can see, there's table options, there's every single thing what you want in a note taking tool. Tell us if you haven't missed anything. We will add that into this as well. So this is the plan, guys. This is the lifetime deal. And
sometimes simple things are so very effective that we ignore them, that we're trying to build the next funnel without realizing that it all starts with writing your notes and starting with basics, right? So always, like, let's start with basics and then just get going from there, I feel. Again, guys, if you happen to have any questions, do let us know.
Yes.
If not, then Minank, let's announce the giveaway winners.
We have one last question. What is the character restrictions? Like, how many characters can I write? That's a really good question. One that just wants to take notes. What's the file size or character restrictions? Hussein, do you want to take that?
Yeah, there are no character restrictions. You can add as many characters as you want. Now, this has not been tested, but it might be that if you add, for example, 1 million characters, which I don't think is possible for you, you might run into your browser's memory problems. But I don't think that's ever going to happen. So yeah, effectively, I would say the characters, the character length is unlimited.
Interesting. So the maximum that we can like expect out of, let's say if you're attending a summit as well, that's another use case. So you can expect, being a content writer myself, my guess is that a maximum of 1,000 words, you cannot go beyond that, writing all that. So a maximum of 1,000 words would be, you'll be able to do that, but do share in the group if you go beyond that. I want to see what happens as well, but don't worry, it's unlimited characters. So we have chat, and thank you so much. Yeah, well, welcome home. Glad you found value. And
awesome.
With this, we have come to the end of this webinar, but we're gonna do the giveaway as well. Yeah. Okay. Udit, you were saying something?
Yeah. So I think let's do a nice PG t-shirt giveaway. I think that's something that we have started doing every webinar now. So guys, let us know how Ultranote was, right? Just write down Ultranote, and the first person to do that will receive a PG t-shirt. Make sure that you do it in chat and not questions. Okay, so we have Vishnu. Vishnu, okay, you're the first one. Can you just drop in your email address so that we can send you a PG t-shirt?
So Vishnu, Manika, you have to be fast. So yeah.
Okay, so let's
next time. And now going to our Instagram. Yes. So let's pick our winner from Instagram. And guys, we told it in the start of the webinar. You should do this for every webinar coming on. Just go crazy with your Instagram stories. And I can see you guys have tagged us in your posts as well. So Unesh Gadiali, awesome. So Unesh, if you're in the webinar, say hi. And you otherwise this prize goes to, yeah. Okay, perfect, Unesh. Congratulations for winning the Ultranote lifetime deal for yourself. So that's what, guys. If you tag us on PitchGround or on
The chances actually
your
increases.
stories, just like Unesh, you can win.
Yeah, and the chances increases because there are very less people on Instagram. So your chances definitely, the percentage increases, right? Look at Dinesh. He started his new Instagram account and he's just won, right? So the Instagram account became very lucky here. So that's why take action, guys. You will always be rewarded. And now is the final giveaway. Hussein, pick up your favorite question. I hope it's not me. I asked a lot of questions as well.
Yeah, there were quite a few of them.
All right.
I think it was someone that asked what features does Ultranote have that makes it more valuable over other tools like Google Keep using on Chrome? And I think that's a really important question because it defines. He's basically asking what's our USP, why are we different from others, and yeah, I think that was a quite interesting question. I think the answer to that was, I think I've already said that, was because what we want to do, what we want to make people do is maintain eye contact with their customers all the time, because that is really, really important, whatever part of your, whatever kind of conversation that you're having. So the what Ultranote does is that it lets you do that by having a minimal interface in a transparent overlay. So I think, yeah, that highlights a very important aspect of it.
So who was that asked this question?
That was Naz Hack.
Okay.
I feel like I'm pronouncing it right.
I think it's Nazrul. He joined our previous webinars as well. Nazrul, if you're in the webinar, you can win. If you're not, then yeah, we have to give this to somebody else.
I think he just messaged in.
No, that was Unesh. So Nazrul, if you're in the webinar, say hi. Alice. Oh, and I guess, yeah, Nazrul is not in the webinar. Sorry. You'll see the replay and you'll notice that you won, but actually you lost. Guys, that's why we say stay till the end of this webinar so that you can win. So whom do we choose next? Since this prize goes out to somebody else because Nazrul is not in this webinar.
I think it's time for the comments again, guys. Get your hands ready on your keypad. The first one to type. Let's see. What keyword do you want to pick, Hussein?
Okay, so are people typing in the comment section?
So whoever types.
First, whoever types the first. Let's do that.
Sorry.
Whoever types the first.
Okay, whoever types the first wins. Whatever.
Okay, so that's N-A.
Congrats.
Yeah.
You win Ultranote. Congratulations. Just send in your email to us in the chat right now, and our team will reach out to you and add an Ultranote code to your account so that you can get started. Start taking up all the notes that you have been on all of these webinars. Start making some blog posts, right? Start posting this content on your social media. If you're creating those notes, repurpose them in as many ways as possible. You can create carousels for your Instagram. That's what I do, right? I tweet, I turn all of them into a carousel and I post them on Instagram. Then I post them on Facebook. I get different level of engagements, right? The other things that you got to do, you repurpose the content over and over and over again in different strategies and in different ways. Make sure to implement these guys and you will see your engagements going up, users connecting to you a lot more. So for example, if you picked up a lot of things moving forward as well, pick up a code of Ultranote, and in all of future webinars, especially all of the upcoming crazy webinars, right, which is going to be insanely value driven, you will need to write those notes because those webinars could end up being like 3-hour webinar, right? And then when you want to watch a replay, you don't want to go on that lonely journey on watching that video once again, right? You will have your notes ready. You can just dive in and take action at that point of stage. So guys, make sure to pick up Ultranote. Awesome tool, great handy tool. And I think definitely will improve and save you guys a lot of time. So with that, we will be wrapping up this webinar. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next event. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.